welcome. It's Candice from Happy Catastrophe. Hi, everybody. And it is December 2023 completed pages video. Hey, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for all your amazing comments on the last video I put up, which was the Color the Tarot series, the Strength card, where I was compelled by the Strength card to be brave and talk about myself a little bit. And you all are just so beautiful. And because of your support, I will update in a future video, but I am really getting braver about that part of my life. So thank you so much. I love each and every one of you. Thank you. So let's talk about December. So this is not January, that's what we're doing now. December 2023. I did 22 pages, and I'm not exactly sure how I did that many, except I was really, really motivated with Christmas. I had so much fun with Christmas coloring and winter coloring, and you will see all of that. I worked out of 16 books and 6 PDFs in October, November time period. I discovered PDF artists on Etsy who offer their, not only on Etsy, but also around the webs, and offer their artwork via PDF. And I found I really enjoy that. I did work out of 6 untouched books. I'm really excited about that. I'm really working through my untouched books. I had 2 buddy colors. I did 1 color by number, and I had worked on 3 artists that I have never worked on before, new to me artists, and those were from the PDFs. I did buy 2 new books, and I destashed 4. What I'm destashing, I already have gone through all of my AI, but now what I'm destashing is just stuff I don't really work in. These were Amazon printed paper. I think one was, one was Ollie Mermaids, by Ollie. Anyway, these are books that I would pull out to work on and then put back month after month after month. So they went down to the free book bookshelf down at the local post office, the country post office, where we all bring books to be donated to each other, and someone always snatches up the coloring books. My total books are now at 131, with 36 that are still not touched. And that means that I'm actually down 3 books in my total. So that's good. Those were destashed. And I am down 5 books in my untouched. So even though I brought in a couple books into my total collection, I'm down overall because of destashing, and I'm down in the untouched because I really worked in a lot this month. So that means my untouched percentage has dropped by 4.3%. So I'm now at 27.5% of my books are untouched, which is great. I was in the 40s, so I'm really working on that hard. Very excited. All right, so let's look and see what I did in December. All right, so let's start with Koko Ausa. So this is Minuit de Bonheur, and this is the Japanese version. Now, I recently watched a video where someone got the Japanese version thinking it would always be better because the paper is usually better than the English version. However, I find this paper to be really problematic. It's very soft and thinner, actually. And I'll show you the difference between them. I mean, I love the images, but I'm having a really hard time finding what mediums to use. So if you guys have this version of this book, let me know what you use, because it's really soft paper and it just sort of disintegrates with some things. And I don't know, it's not very sturdy. But what I did in this book, and it was my first page ever because of this paper has kind of stymied me, is this one. Now, this is a hot mess. Oh, it's a hot mess. Like I always do, experimented. So I knew how I wanted the wallpaper to look, and that was it. So what I ended up doing with this was trying some different paint mediums. So I've tried acrylic and gouache and acrylic paint pens, and I think there may be some watercolor. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's watercolor, but it's mostly thicker paints. And most of it I had to go over twice, so it made it kind of messy. Some things I like and some things I don't, but they were all experiments. I do love how the wallpaper finally turned out. This gold is the Kiritaki Ganzai Tambi Starry Colors Gold. I love that palette. I almost need to replace it. But I did have to go over it twice. I had to go over the acrylic twice, but I do like the wallpaper a lot. The fire, I'm not sure what I was thinking with the fire, but I did use some watercolors in here, so that gave it some kind of depth. I did not do any light play, though. I mean, I made the carpet in front of it a little bit lighter, but I really didn't do anything with light in this at all. I was just trying to figure out what worked. A lot of this is gouache or acrylic. But the fuzzy parts like the carpet and the fur, not the geese, but the fur and the little rabbit and the chipmunk, that is Crayola crayons. So I'm finding that I really like crayons. And then I just use some Gamsol on a blending stump like... Ooh, I just accidentally bumped my light on bright. Let's turn that back down again. I know it's obnoxious. With a blending stump. So Gamsol looks like this. Gamsol. It's just odorless mineral spirits. And I take a sanding block like this, and I'm down to my last couple. This was something cheap that came in a kit. I do need to replace it or just get some sandpaper. And I sand it off so that there's no color, so it's down to nothing again. And then when it's nice and clean, I dip it in the Gamsol. I'll let it sit for a couple minutes because you don't want it soaking wet. And then I rub out. So it works well for colored pencils, for crayons, it works fantastic. Anything waxy, I don't think it's going to work as well for oil, maybe, but it works for anything that's waxy, and it kind of smooths it out. I use it a lot, actually. I use it a lot. This was longer. But it helps. It helps make things smooth. I'm not a fan of seeing the paper. I like to have everything covered. So I got kind of tired of it because it was really not turning out very well. So, and by this time I had done, this was towards the end of the month, and I had already colored hundreds of presents, and I was phoning it in. I was just painting. There's no shading, nothing. I was done with these presents. So anyway, it's not attractive, but I do like what I did with the tree. I do like how the acrylic paint pens worked on here. So I learned that the gold watercolor worked out really well. So I learned some things that I like. I like the fuzziness of the crayons. I think I'll use crayons again. And I learned some things I didn't like. So this was mostly an experimental page, but it was fun. So that was this was the last page of Koko Goose I did. The first ones I did was out of my Garden of Fairy Tale Animals. Now this is the English version. So now this paper I find to be thicker and more sturdy. And this paper can handle all kinds of stuff. I've done a few pages in here. This is what, I didn't do those. This came that way. There's Koko. I did this double page spread as the very first page I ever did. And it looks like this because at the time I didn't know to crack the book. So I colored it like this. I thought that was what all you colored. I didn't realize you could crack the book. Later, when I realized to crack the book, it opened up. Uh-oh. This was still, to date, one of my favorite pages. I mean, this was all done with watercolor paint. Every single bit of it was watercolor paint. It was the Rosa watercolors from Ukraine. You can get them off of Etsy. I think there might also be some Tim Holtz, because this looks like Tim Holtz watercolor crayons. Watercolor pencils. I think I might have some of that in there too. But it's all watercolor. And I really, really liked this. And it's fixed, which is why it's shiny. And then I played with gel pens on this one to see what pens I liked. I think I actually wrote some notes on here for things not to do. Like micro glaze on top of gel pen, just smeared gel pen. Dumb idea. I started this double page again. I cracked the book and found all that more stuff to color. This was all watercolors for sure. This is, might also be some, no, these are all Rosa watercolors because Rosa watercolors has that red. Yeah, so I've done quite a few in this book. Oops, too much water. So what I was doing in my winter pages, you guys saw this book, and we went through and I looked at the winter pages that were in this book. And I said I would never, ever, ever do either one of these pages. And look what I did. Let's look at this one first. You know what? Never say never, ever, because I ended up doing both of them. And I laughed and I laughed. I have Ohuhu water-based markers, which may be an unpopular opinion. I hate with a passion. I cannot find anything that they don't bleed through. They don't bleed through this paper. Well, they did a little bit, but I can't find anything that they work well on. They seem to tear the paper up. They're just way too wet. Their colors are not attractive. I can't stand them. I'd rather use the super tips. But I'm stuck with them. I have them, and I'm like, well, while I have them, why don't I use them? And I decided to do an ugly sweater pattern since I think the Ohuhu water-based markers are ugly colors. So it worked out well. They did a great job. You know, they're streaky. That's another reason. It's like they're the worst of the worst. Water-based markers are supposed to be easier to blend. They're supposed to work on double-sided pages so they don't bleed through. I find these bleed, streak, and don't blend. They're just like the worst. Ohuhu does a lot of great stuff with their alcohol markers and their acrylic paint pens and stuff, but I don't like these water-based markers at all. So, of course, the dark yellow is not them. The dark yellow is something else. But then there's some gold paint pen and there's some black Sakura jelly. But I really wanted to make an ugly sweater. So, and I use those Ohuhu markers everywhere. See, these are their browns. I think these deer are completely hideous. But that's what color browns that marker set has. And then I wasn't going to screw up the bells with these markers, so I used pencil for the bells. But that was my ugly sweater deer, and I actually had a great time. So what did I do? Whoop, this. Okay. This one was, let me look it up real quick. I think it's Christmas tree wallpaper. It says that I use the Ohuhu water-based markers again, but I think this is gouache. So I think I used the Ohuhu water-based. No, this is gouache. I wrote the wrong stuff down for that. I used gouache on this, and what I did was the tree. I did the tree first, and I really liked how the tree came out. I think I did. Oh yeah, I did the Ohuhu base mark. I did the water-based markers for the tree, but everything else here is gouache or that. This looks like gold gel pen, gold glitter pen. And then I started over here, and I started doing this wallpaper. I got to about here, and I was tired of doing the wallpaper. So I stopped doing the red, and I went over here and just started doing the greens and the reds. And when I did that, I was like, whoa, I kind of like that. And wouldn't this have been a cool page if I had just done the tree in color and left the background black and white with just the greens colored in? That would have been a really cool looking page. I used to be a quilter, still think of myself as a quilter, but I haven't done it in a while. And my favorite way of quilting was a black and white with a pop of color on it. So that's, my patterns often look like that. And I had forgotten that. So I left it half and half like this, partly because it's kind of cool, but mostly to remind myself that sometimes no color is more dramatic than color. So I want this page to remind me that I can leave things uncolored so that they will accent the stuff that is colored. And I think that's a really cool look. So it's not that it's unfinished. It's actually intentional. And I just wanted to, although I'm pretty sure I meant for that to be colored black in, but I don't know. I just got tired of all this fiddly stuff and then realized, wow, that actually looks really cool. So that's what I did for Koko Ausa in December. Then I did a new to me artist, Clara Marova. I would have all of Clara Markova's books to get if they didn't cost as much as a car payment to get them here. I really want that Is it Fairy Touch? It's the last one she did with the colorful cover. Is it Fairy Touch of Magic? I can't remember what that one's called. But that's the one I really want first. I want all of hers. I love her artwork, but can't afford it. So I got this freebie. This was a free off of her website. This is her website, claramarova.com. And you can go there, and she has several free things. For Christmas time, she had some free PDFs. She had free gift tags, which were adorable, free bookmarks, things like that. So she's got things you can print off for free. She's not on Etsy, but she does have that website. So what did I do here? This was gouache, mostly gouache with some shiny bits. I printed this on my Nina Astro Bright paper. And I did get heavy-handed with this one, but I just really wanted it to look like confections and candy and be all glittery. And it was mostly just playing around with stuff, trying new techniques to make things look 3D and glittery. I was getting tired of presents at this point, so I was having a hard time. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a box of some kind, but I didn't do very well with that one. But I do like the little elfie guy. Yay! I do like all the glitter and shimmer I did. And this was all other, all water-based gouache. And then the shiny stuff is, the gouache I use is Himi, H-I-M-I gouache, and the shiny is Himi metallic gouache, which one of you recommended I try, and I do like it. It gets very shiny like that. It's much easier on my budget than metallic watercolors, so off of Etsy and stuff like that. So this gives me the shine I want. That satisfies me. And this is Clara Marova. Now I don't know if she has a name for this. No, this was just a free download off of her website. So yeah, be sure to check out her website, especially now that the Christmas season is over. I'm wondering if she'll put some other free downloads on there, and that way you get to color her. For those of us that can't afford her books. All right, what else did I do? Now, Christmas wouldn't be complete without a little Christmas coloring from Morgan O'Brien, would it? I did not purchase the new winter one he has out, which I plan on doing it. I was just on a no-buy for a while there. But I did have this Christmas coloring book that I bought after Christmas last year, and so I never had touched it, so it was an untouched book. And I just started at the beginning, and I did a couple of them. So this is the first one, the first page, and the first one I did. I'm not sure what happened here. I think I spilled some of my drink on it. But there she is. I just pretty much straight color these. Now, this is alcohol marker for sure, but there's some of that that metallic Himi metallic on there. Himi gouache, metallic gouache. And there's also some gouache in her stole, in her scarf and hat, and on his little scarf, but then the rest of it is alcohol markers. Now, I've seen a lot of you starting to do fun things in the background. I think I'm gonna have to do that, because to me, I like it, but it looks unfinished, doesn't it? It looks like it needs more. So I'm gonna start working with the background. Then I did one more in here. I did the next one. Ta-da! And this one is also alcohol markers. This is this is that Kawaii Tombi gold that I love so much, but the rest is all alcohol markers. And that's, well, these are acrylic paint pens. The colorful stars are. So, and that's one thing I love to do with these books is I just love to get my markers out and just color them. They go super fast. They're easy on my arm. So when I'm doing the more intense stuff, which you will see, some more detailed stuff, these are breaks for me. And they're just so cute because she's just so happy. And I wanted to go on to the next one, but I had other things I had to do. But this one, doesn't that look cozy? So it's on my list to get done this winter. I love Matchstick Mouse. I love Morgan O'Brien. I love Annie Day. I love everything he does. He's just a fantastic artist. Okay. I also did a cute one out of this. Now, Aya is a new friend of mine on Instagram, and they helped me get into this book. I love this book. This book is so much fun. And I'm working on another one there with Aya. But this book is so much fun, and I hadn't done a thing in it. And it's got great paper. Little thin, but pretty good paper, but it's double-sided most of the time. And so I really hadn't broken into it, and they wanted to do something out of it. And so I said, yes, let's do it. And what we ended up doing was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There it is. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Now, first I want to show you Iris. Isn't that great? Now, they did it really, really accurately. Aya is, I think, too young to remember when Mr. Toad was, you know, in a cartoon form on TV or what have you. But they looked it up and online and then did it very accurately. And I am so impressed. Really great. I mean, if you look up a picture of Mr. Toad from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, it's like exact matching to the colors. It's brilliant. Now for me, what I did was kind of went nutballs. I wanted to get this red. And so this red is acrylic paint. I do have a couple of nice reds in various things. I did have to go over it a couple times with it being acrylic paint. And I believe all of this is acrylic paint. Even him. Now he ended up brighter and more neon than I looked him up once and I got the colors of the car, but then I sort of went from memory on the rest and he came out really green. When I saw Ayaz, I was like, oh yeah, he never was green frog, was he? But then when I got done, it looked really sparse. So I put this, so I took some King Art gel sticks. They're kind of like gelatos. A lot of you have them. And I made this really super cheap fake bokeh thing where I just rubbed the gel sticks and I used red, green, and yellow because it was Christmas. And then I took white Posca knowing it would be transparent on top of all this and made circles. And then I took some gold from the one of these days, Kuretake Ganzai Tambi watercolor gold to make the little gold stars, and that was it. I just wanted to make him a little more festive because he was kind of lonely there on the page. But I also wanted it to be really fast and not bleed through, and I don't think anything did. Oh yeah, the red did. I got heavy-handed with the red, but that will cover up when I do Dopey's picture. So yeah, if any of you have this book, Aya and I are doing another buddy color in January this month together, but in the future, I'm always up for a buddy color out of this book because it's just really fun. It's a really fun book. So thank you so much, Aya, for letting me know that you were interested in working in this book because I had a blast. Thank you very much. Then I finished a buddy color that I had never finished. I'm in there's three of us that are doing buddies out of this book. It's Stephanie Napolitan and Tammy Kellers too. And the three of us, every now and then, whenever we feel like it, pick a picture out of here. And they picked this wolf for Halloween. And then I never did it. So I did it in December because it was nagging at me. I don't like to not finish buddies. In fact, the months I have missed in my group buddies because I was doing something else has bugged me. So I want to go back and do those. It bothers me to make a commitment and then not do it. And this was a commitment with just 2 other people. So I really felt like I needed to do it. So here's the wolf. And I think I'm trying different mediums in this book. This book is a little bit tricky because it soaks up everything. And I think I just used alcohol markers on this. Let me look. Yeah. No. Okay. I got some new watercolor markers that were on sale and they're Mogyan, Mogyan. I'm going to insert a picture of them here off of Amazon. And I like them. They're better than Ohuhu, I think. I don't think they streak nearly as much. I mean, they look pretty good for watercolor markers. And the colors are much better. These are much better browns. And I just like them a whole lot. So the Ohuhus may be donated because they just frustrate me to no end. But these were great, and I use them on a few things to try to get the hang of them, and I like them. So I think I will use them in this book. Now, they do bleed when you use them heavy-handed like I do, but everything bleeds through this paper. So I haven't tried them in a fancy book yet with better paper, so we'll see. But I just love the vibrant colors of these markers. So maybe I finally found some water-based markers I like. Although I'm still looking for the perfect ones that don't bleed through, and Crayola Super Tips are close. I just really struggle with the tips. The tips kind of drive me bonkers. I don't know how to hold the pen. But yeah, these Mogions or whatever they are, love them. All right, what did I do next? Now, a favorite new artist of mine, Rena Art, who seems to sneak into every month, did this, and this is her artwork called The Present. I get her Rena Art's artwork off of her Etsy shop, Coloring Books 2020, and I've done several. I never thought I was a portrait person, but I love her portraits. I don't know why I love them so much, but more than others that look, a little bit similar, but she just seems to, I don't know. The faces are interesting, and they make me want to color them. So I knew I wanted to make her kind of a snow bunny look. I knew I wanted the caramely colored skin, and she's also a reindeer. She's got little reindeers on. I think this was the last present of the month I colored, so it was done with those Mogion watercolors. They are very intense, as you can see. The rest of this was done with alcohol markers. Now, alcohol markers are my go-to, and they're what I like to do everything with. There is a little bit of, I was trying to put some Wink of Stella in these blue roses, and I realized my Wink of Stella was out. So there might be a few little sparkles in there, but I need to get a new one. So that's her with her, I thought this was like a fur wrap maybe that was on her. I'm not sure, but I made it look kind of like what reindeer fur would look like, And the bells I did in alcohol markers. Everything's, well, see, here's the alcohol marker. So it looks like, what did I do her hair in? The watercolor markers. It might have been the Mogion watercolor markers. Yeah. So it looks like I did alcohol markers and everything but the hair and the present. So the hair was also done with those watercolor markers. And they didn't really bleed through. See, this is better paper. I was trying them on different papers throughout the month of December just to see what I liked. I really liked how she turned out. The background is eyeshadow, and it is Kat Von D eyeshadow. Now, I decided that I get a lot of questions about myself because I am a nun, a Buddhist nun, and various things. And I thought I would answer a question with, once in a while, answer a question from you with some of my coloring pages. And this one, I had the question from one of you about what is a Buddhist nun doing with Kat Von D makeup? Well, I wasn't always a Buddhist nun. I was ordained 2 years ago. I started on this path like 4 years ago. And I was a Buddhist before that, but I started on the nun path for 4 years, which would have made me 51. So I didn't start this, I was 51. So that's 51 years of not being a nun. And I was in the corporate world, got burned out, got laid off, thank you, and was taking time off with my severance, and I loved makeup. So I had lots of makeup, and Mom and I were in Sephora's, and the manager walked up to me and offered me a job because I had like a full face on. So I went to work for Sephora. I'm at minimum wage, and it didn't matter because I just needed a break. I just needed some fun, and playing with all that makeup and working with people, women and men who would come in with some sort of issue they wanted help with, and I could help them. And being older, I really got a clientele of older women, and it was lovely. And after a year of that, I could go back to working, a job that actually paid the mortgage. But that was a nice break for me. And I was influenced by some of the young people I worked with to go to beauty school. So I went to beauty school, again, just for fun. And I just learned a lot of stuff. So I had all the makeups. So then at 51, when I become a nun and stop wearing makeup, I didn't have to, but I just don't feel like wearing it anymore. I have tubs and tubs and tubs of makeup. So, and I'm also a licensed nail tech. That happened in beauty school. I didn't go through with the aesthetics. I just, like usual, I didn't finish everything. But a lot has happened in my life, and I've been a lot of different things. But a makeup artist is one of them. So, yes, I love makeup. I have a lot of it. I don't use it. I feel bad that I've spent all that money on it and I'm not using it. And then I saw one of you wonderful colorists using the page and I'm like, bingo. So I've been bringing it out. So this is 3 different colors of Kat Von D. I have found that the better quality makeup does a better job. I've used cheap makeup and I didn't like the looks of it. So I've been able to de-stash a lot of my makeup. Now I would never use this makeup on my face again because it's just too old. But the pigment in the mica stays the same. So, and it's just better quality in MAC, Kat Von D, that kind of stuff. The better quality makeup. So use your makeup. If you've got some eyeshadow you no longer use, or you're close to the pan, or it's a color that you're just not using anymore, use it on your pages. Use it last because it will come off. I mean, I use a blending brush like this, kind of like this. I used a bigger one for this one, but I blend it in, but it still will kind of rub off, so you need to fix it. So I do it last. I like to do my backgrounds first, but when I decide to do makeup, I'll do it last. Now you could use a working fixative. I don't have that. I just have an end-all fixative. So I just do the background last, and then I spray it and fix it immediately so I don't get makeup all over the place. And it stays. There's nothing coming off. So yeah. That's the question answered. Candice has had many lives, but definitely try supplies you have around the house. All right, enough of looking at this pretty lady. Let's look at something else. All right, this was an untouched book. This is a gorgeous book, but for some reason, I hadn't gotten into it. So I decided it was time. And this book is a story about a girl who falls or can't sleep or falls asleep. And then her conductor comes alive and it's her birthday. And her parents are going to leave her alone yet again on her birthday. But they showered her with gifts and said, you can have a fun time tonight. We're going to go out and you can just open up all your gifts. And so that's where it starts, with her being alone and having to open up all her gifts. So this is all about presents. Isn't that neat? So here she is alone with all these presents. There's the conductor and all these presents. And to me, I know it's her birthday, but it looked like Christmas. So I decided to do this one in Christmas. And she's sad. But at night, the conductor comes alive and he says, why don't we take all these presents and give them away? So he comes alive, he wakes her up, and he's like, let's go on a journey and give away all your gifts to people who might need them. So that's what this whole book's about. And this is the page I did. Now, I think it's at night, and I'll tell you why I did the sky daytime when I get there. But I did, this is all in watercolor markers. Again, those Mogian watercolor markers. And then the gold is the Kiritake Gansai Tambi watercolor gold. This is holograph, that acrylic paint, not Apple Barrel, the other one, folk art holograph. And it would look really cool if I'd made this a night sky. But this night sky is, I bought these super cheap, they're kind of like crayons. Let me pull one out. Well, I have this container of crayons. Here they are. I got these from the Dollar General. I'm not even sure what they are. No name, oil pastels, art skills. And they were like $1.25. And I'm having fun using really cheap mediums right now. And so I used them for the back, but it wasn't as dark. I probably could have made it darker, but I was really, when I started rubbing it in, and then I use a blender stick to blend it, I really liked this color blue. So I kept it daytime because I thought it was really pretty and I liked the technique, the effect I was getting and the texture I was getting. So that's all that is. It was super easy. I just went around the clouds, left the clouds white. I did play a little bit with light, but because it's not a dark picture, it didn't really make sense. And then I just kept going to this side. Now here's where I started getting burned out on presents. I did a little bit at a time throughout the entire month of December, but I was tired of coloring presents. I think it'll be a while before I color presents again. But see, those Mogian watercolors, I was able to get some really neat effects in the roof, making things look like tiles, making things look like metal. I really love the color I got in the carriage. I used a glitter gold gel pen to make that pattern. And I like how it turned out. I mean, it's nothing fancy. This was pretty cheap supplies that I used. Cheap watercolor pencils, watercolor markers off of Amazon, folk art paint, Dollar General store, wax sticks. But you can do a lot. Now, it's a little bit fussier than, using fancy stuff does some of the work for you. This took a while, but I like the way it turned out. So, yeah. And this was also because I was in a no-buy. Had some budgeting stuff happening in November. So I decided that, what if I couldn't afford the nicer supplies that I do have? What if I couldn't do that? What if I had to use cheaper supplies? Could I make a picture I liked? And I think we all can. I think we all can. All right. So, next. Can I just say I love, love, love Spooky Girl? I really do. I just love the whole concept of her. I love the artwork of this. I need to do more in it. I've done a few pages, but the one I did this time was not that one. That's the first page I ever did in here. This is me at night when I can't sleep. But I did this one, Christmas page. And I decided, since she is Spooky Girl, that she should not have traditional Christmas colors. She would do everything in monotones and, puke greens and black. So that's what I did. This is all alcohol markers. Now the white is the white of the page. And these pages aren't that white, but it looks white when next to black. So there's a little bit of a glare. I'm going to see if I can just turn this down a bit. That helps. I think that helps a bit. And so I used clashing greens. I used grays. See all these clashing greens? I did that on purpose. I made everything sort of gray. She's purplish grays. And then the yellow outline the ghosts. I really I don't know if you'd call it a minimal palette, but just intentional palette with all these different clashing greens. I just kind of wanted to make it an ugly Christmas picture. An ugly Christmas. I made her Christmas decorations, really gray and black, and everything's really just gray and black. The black and red candy cane. And then I added dots to the cat. I don't think the cat was spotted like this. No, he definitely wasn't. And I made him spotted because he wasn't really showing up very well. And I didn't want to make him a color. So I had so much fun. I did this in just an hour and a half, maybe. Probably just about an hour, and it was a lot of fun. And that's what this book is for. This book is for taking your markers and just boom. Now I used Copics, and I put some white Posca dots on the spiders and their webs to make them show up against that dark wood that I created there. And then I don't know what these glowing balls are, but I made them more puke green. But see the white Posca for accents. That's all this is. Watercolor markers and white Posca on her eyeballs, just to give things a little bit dimension. Now this paper, as you guys know, is super absorbent, so it eats up the markers. But I'm working on my set of refills, so as I use them up, I get a refill. So I'm slowly getting my refills, and so I don't worry too much about using my expensive markers on this paper. I mean, I use them because I love them. I like them better than anything else. So why not use them? And just, I've already invested in them, so now I'll invest further into the refills so that I can keep on using them. And I don't have any others. I have some straggler leftover Spectrum Noirs that I do love, but I'm not going to be replacing them as they run out. I just am investing in Copics because that's what I like the best. So instead of having 5 different types of alcohol markers, I just have the one, since I've already spent the money on them, and I'll just keep making it a bigger and better set. So I had a lot of fun with this page. All right, what did I do next? I love this book. I don't love all of Lulu Mayo's. Some of them, like, I bought A Million Llamas, and I'm not sure why I did. It was really super cheap. It was just a few dollars where I found it, but I don't know if I'll ever color out of it. But this one is a great one, and I really want A Million Little Monsters. That one looks like a lot of fun. And there was a Christmas page in here that quite a few of you have done this month, and I did it too. So, with her, the thing about Lulu Mayo is her paper stymies me, but I've decided that now that I've got the Mogion watercolor markers, it's made it easier. So I was able to use that. And on this paper, they did not go through. So I was still testing out those markers. So it looks like they go through if you're heavy-handed with lighter paper, but this paper, no. So that's what I used here. I used the Mogion markers. I used some of that Myagora metallic gouache on everything that's shiny. And that's it. The only thing I did in the background was I colored in the bubbles. And then I just took one of those watercolor pens, a light blue, and just kind of went around the bubbles. I decided this was busy enough and I wasn't going to try to fuss with getting a background in all these little fiddly bits. I really liked this. I had a fantastic time. I'm sort of 50-50 with coloring in Lulu Mayo. Half the time I don't enjoy it, and half the time I do. It's just if I stumble upon the right combination of mediums. And I think these mediums worked really well. Yeah, they're still a little streaky. I kind of on purpose made the bear streaky. That's not a bear. That's not a bear. That's a seal or a walrus. Huh. I was thinking it was a bear for some reason. No, that's not a bear. Candice, there are no bears here. We are under the sea. There are no bears. Stop with the bears. But we do have flowers under the sea and presents and things like that. Look at that smiley penguin. I just really, really liked this. I had a good time. I had fun time with all the colors. I didn't know if I wanted to try to do a limited palette. And in the end, I used a medium palette because I use the same colors. There's just quite a few of them. But I tried to keep, use the same set of greens and the same set of reds. And I had a lot of fun with the sleigh. The sleigh is those watercolors and then some metallic the metallic Chemie gouache, and I had a really good time making that blingy. And this was just a lot of fun. I was so in the Christmas spirit, and this page is such a happy, jolly page. So, yes. All right, there's more. All right, we have another PDF, and this one is by Fern Brown. Fern Brown and her mother-daughter, they're a mother-daughter team. One's Fern Brown, one's Annie Brown. They have a website, browncottagebooks.com, but they're also on Etsy, and they have 2 separate Etsy stores. So Fern Brown has her own Etsy store, and she's at Fern Brown Artwork on Etsy. And her artwork is just the most adorable thing ever. So she's got a lot of it. It's affordable, and I highly recommend it. If you like this cute stuff, oh my gosh. Now, I always didn't think I would be interested in coloring penguins because, they're just black and white. But I had so much fun, and I couldn't resist this page. This was one of the cutest Christmas pages she had. So I had so much fun with this, and I was so challenged by the different colors for the ice and the snow. So I tend to start at one spot and move. I try to do all the elements together, but I usually just start at one spot and move through a page. And so I started up here, and I started with, okay, it's just going to leave it white and put some that metallic Hemi gouache on it. And I did that, and I did the tree, and then I was like, whoa, there's a lot of ice and snow in here. What am I going to do? So I started experimenting with different blues and grays of Copics, and I had a lot of fun with doing the ice because I like to make the ice reflecting different colors. So that's just blues and pinks. The white is a Posca pen. I left this white, the sled's white, all the snow's white on this level and on this level. I left everything white, but I went with a very light gray for the inside of the igloo. Very light grays. And so I just kind of kept whites and grays in there. More presents. Tired of presents. Then I just did different shades of gray. Like I made this one kind of dark and in there even darker. And then I made some gray on the ice because there was so much snowballs. There's so much snow and ice and they're not really colored, right? There's no color in snow and ice. So I just used grays because I was also planning on making these crystals colorful. So I didn't want to put a lot of color otherwise. But I really like that level. And then we go down to this level and I use that metallic Hemi gouache on the lights. I didn't play with light sources. They were so small and everything's so far away that I just decided, and it's such a busy page, I just decided to make them metallic and leave it at that. Again, I did the back of the walls, a darker gray, the same as this, because I think this is a hole that goes through to here because that's where he's falling through, I think. I made the ice blues and grays. And then I made the fish like little salmon. I live in the Pacific Northwest and salmon have, red faces. So I made them little salmons. And then I have no idea if penguins have orange feet, but these do. And more presents. And then I had a lot of fun with the crystals. And then more of that metallic Hemi gouache around here. So that is my little penguin page from Fern Brown Artwork. I highly recommend you guys go on Etsy. Again, for $1.50, a couple dollars. And she's got packs of several. She's just got the cutest. She's got this series of bunnies and a series of bears, I think. And then she's got just cute. She's got a series that are doll houses that are inhabited by various things, like little elves and stuff. Anyway, I've purchased a few from her and I did some in October, Halloweeny ones from her. And yeah, she's going to be a regular rotation for me. All right. Next. All right. This is a PDF out of Tatiana Bogema Stolova's Nice Little Town Christmas 4. Now, I purchased this off of her Etsy. I have a lot of her books. She's one of my top 5 favorite artists, and I have a lot of her books in book form. But I decided that I was going to get the rest of them in PDF form because then I can print it on my own paper and do what I want with it. So Disney Meg and I were chatting, and we decided we wanted to do one together, and we wanted to do one out of this book because we had both just bought it. So we chose this page. So let's look at Meg's page. Here's Meg's page. Now, Meg used her favorite color combination, which she does absolutely brilliantly. And I always love the palettes she chooses because they look very cohesive and very cheery. I find her pages easy on the eye and just really delightful to look at. And this one does not disappoint. Isn't that beautiful? It's just really nice. Like I told her, I want to be there. I want to be in that room right now, cuddled up on that couch, and I just want to be there. It just looks so great and cozy. So thank you, Megan, for budding with me. I'll do it again anytime you want. And so I did mine. I went a slightly different direction. I made it nighttime, so it was going to be really cozy. And on this one, the one thing I love about PDFs is you can experiment. And this is a huge experiment for me, and almost one that I threw away and started over a couple of times, which is also the good thing about PDFs. I started with the couch, believe it or not, and I tried so many different mediums to get the look I want. I even did pencil and then did alcohol marker over the pencil. I mean, I've never done that, and I have to tell you, I really like the effect because it makes this sort of like textured effect. I really wanted to look kind of like either a weathered leather, like a rubbed leather, or just an older couch, but really cozy. Now, I'm going to be doing a video soon. Meg asked me, and I think I want to do a video on how to do light sourcing, and not how to color it so much, because I think there are other colorists better than me, but how to plan for it, because it does require planning, which is not something I'm very consistent with. But when I plan for it, it turns out kind of like this. You have to plan where your light sources are first before you start coloring, and you have to use your knowledge of how light works on what it would actually illuminate. So this is somewhat realistic and somewhat fantasy. Like, I'm not so sure all of this tree would be illuminated all the way up to here by this lamp, but I decided to do it that way. I definitely knew the backside wouldn't. The other tip I have is you're going to want to contrast more than you think. So you're going to lose details because you're going to go real dark. And that's the way to really be effective, is because you're going to go darker than you think. You're like, well, now I can't hardly see this couch. Right, because you wouldn't in a cozy little room in the dark that just had this one light source. Now, these are also light sources, and I did I was like, oh, by then I was like, do I really want? So all I did with these was just made them kind of glow, because I don't know if they'd really put off that much light anyway. Now, would they light up these flags? Probably not. But maybe some light from this would light up. I don't know. I made it like a glass lamp. But this is a lesson, and you just keep going on. There's a lot of pencil work in here. I can't believe I did so much pencil work in here, because that is not necessarily something I like to do, because it's hard on my body. But I did use pencil, and then I used markers to finally, and this I went over and over and over. Now I started with, I knew it would glow from the inside, but then I also wanted it to look like the glass was colored. So light source is really dependent. One of the most important things is, what do you color first? Would I color the yellow first and then the darker colors, or how do I make this source look? And you just think of how light works. This lamp is glowing. So I did do the yellow first, because any color that the glass is going to be altered a bit by the glowing yellow, right? It's going to look different when it's turned off than when it's on. So I did the yellow first, and then I tried putting this orange in, and there were times where I didn't like it, and the alcohol markers, the more alcohol marker you use, the more it kind of dissipates the color underneath it, and you can really get where you want to go. This is pencil. This is pencil. Now I made the light source glow back here because I didn't want to make all this dark. I'm not sure that light would glow there, but I made it. Here, the light is glowing so intensely that it's changing the color. How did I do that? I didn't color that color there. That red yarn, I stopped right there, and the top is yellow. And I actually did it first. Now, some of these that are a little further away from the light source, I did all, like this green yarn, I did just a light shade of green here with yellow over it, because I think it's further away and you would still see some of the green, but right here and the top of her hat is very close to the light source. So I just didn't put the color underneath there. I just put the yellow. So it looks weird for a long time. It takes a long time for pages with light sources to come together. But I'll do a little planning video on how, and I'll use a page like this that we can just mark up about where a light source should be. Just so we could talk through the process of doing this. And then by whatever medium you have, I just suggest experimenting. And PDFs are the best for experimenting, because it's like, I feel like I can do anything, because I can just toss it and print out another one. So I never ruin a page. And I have tossed it. In fact, I had a whip that I hated so much, I just threw the thing away. And if I ever want to do that page again, I'll print it out. I just feel like I have so much freedom with PDFs. In a little bug cat bug, doggy bug. Anyway, again, this is a room I'd like to live in. Although I kind of do because I live in a cabin in the woods. All right, let's move on. Now we have this little cutie. I had a hard time photographing her for Instagram, and she's hard because she's so blingy. I am a Sagittarius. My birthday was December 18th. So I really wanted to do a Sagittarius. And I chose this PDF from Mystic Art Mirrors off of her Etsy site. She has a Zodiac book, and I purchased her book from her a couple months ago. And this is truly mixed media and some successes and some goofs. The background is gouache, right? Yes. I can usually tell by the feel. It was a better attempt at bokeh, but still came out weird. I watched a video on how to do bokeh, and it talked about from a watercolorist, and you put the dark layer down first, and then you put circles of varying tones and shades of that color. It looks more like bubbles. I like it though. And then I thought it needed more, so I just put swipes of the gold Kuretake Gansai Tombi gold watercolor. Just because I feel like I just want to be messy with Mystic Art Mirrors stuff. I just make her pages messy. All of this is alcohol markers here. Her skin tone, I accidentally grabbed a metallic pencil. So there was a layer of metallic, and then I couldn't blend anything on top of it. So she has very yellowy skin, but it was one of the last things I did. I had already done the background, so I'm like, oh, whatever. So her skin is very weird. So there's a metallic in there, and I have learned you can't really blend metallic pencils. This is the hair is alcohol markers. There's some of that gold, that Kuretake Gansai Tombi gold. And these are different. These are also in the Kuretake line, just different. I might have put some bronzy stuff over the gold just to make those feathers look different. And that would have been probably a gel pen. But yeah, that's my little Sagittarius girl. I think Mystic Art Mirrors is so talented. I love all of her stuff. Her stuff tends to be a little expensive. However, she has lots of sales. So when I keep an eye out. When she has sales, I get stuff. So I have quite a bit of her stuff because of that. Yeah, keep an eye out for sales. All right, let's move on. So, of course I did. Of course I worked in a scary book. This is Mythagoria Night Terrors, Fabiana Attanasio. I love all my Mythagorias. This is a top favorite. I don't know if you guys know, but there is another new Mythagoria out. There is one that I haven't seen many of you work out of called Frozen. It's a Frozen one where everything's frozen. It's by Fabiana. I don't think I'm going to purchase that one. I just don't think I am. I saw a flip through and it just really didn't strike me. But there's another new one out called Vengeful Forest. It's a brand new artist to the Mythographic Mythagoria line, and it's phenomenal. And although I have 3 of these Mythagorias fight for my top favorite all the time, I think Vengeful Forest is going to come in and win them all. I think it's going to be my very, very top favorite. I cannot wait until it gets here. I saw a flip through on Grumble Bunny's channel, so go check it out. Yes. So I paid the full price instead of waiting for it to come to Book Outlet, clicked buy, and it's on its happy little way here. So can't wait. But of course I worked out of this, and when I went through my Winter Pages in Unusual Places video series, I found a few in here, and I did the Wendigo already last month. And then I decided I needed to do the one I've been wanting to do in this book ever since I got this book. My pages are starting to fall out. Is Krampus. the scary Santa. So I wanted him to be very special and very detailed. So I decided I started out with alcohol markers, like the dark black in here is alcohol markers. But I realized quickly that I didn't want him to be my traditional alcohol marker look. I really wanted him very kind of realistic. So I went to pencils and I did the entire thing in pencils. I used my Color pencils. I have that big 300 set. It worked pretty well. I think there's probably other pencils that work better on this paper, but I liked it. I like the colors I got. I like the blend. I love his skin. I love the way the bells shine. I've been watching a lot of your tutorials on how to do metal. So that's where I'm getting this gold from, is I'm watching your tutorials. I watched one on Country Gals. You know what I'm talking about. I'll put it across the screen here. She has some great tutorials on metals, and yeah. So he's got a couple of different metals though. He's got some silver, which reflects different colors than gold does. And skulls. I really especially like his horns. I like the colors I chose there. I actually looked up images of Krampus. He also always has his tongue out. He does have red eyes. He does have a red tongue, and he often has red horns. So I just sort of made him the colors of the images that I saw. He's a scary dude. He really is. So that's my Krampus, one of my favorites of the month. And I really do love these Mythagoria books. I love mythographic. I do something in a mythographic or a Mythagoria or both every month, because they work so well with alcohol markers and they always turn out well. But I think this is one of my very few that I did all pencil, and I really liked it. All right, let's look at another one. Okay, I have two more books. So this one I had not broken into yet, although it is so cute. Is this Deborah Moeller? Yes. Deborah Moeller, Zendoodle, Gnomes at Home. I think she and Denise Klitt make my favorite gnomes. Denise Klitt's gnomes, you can't see their eyes, and they're adorable. I think Deborah Moeller makes my other favorites. And this was an untouched book, and I decided I needed to get it out. Now, this was a whole experiment. I had just bought those, what do they even call them? Oil pastels. I had just bought these, and I had a bunch of crayons. And I put the oil pastels in the same little container I have my crayons in. And I'm like, you know what? This is a great book to experiment with that. I started off with alcohol markers, which is what I always do. And then I'm like, let's try something else. Let's try some of those. Let's try crayons. So this background is crayons. And what I did was I blended several colors. I wanted it to make it kind of look like colorful wood. And the lights are crayons. His face is crayons. His skin is crayons. His clothing is alcohol markers. The rug is crayon. The broom is crayon. And this floor is alcohol markers. And the teapot's alcohol markers. Now the crayon worked really well for the white beard because it's a very light crayon. And then all of it's crayon. And then I outlined it with a silver glittery gel pen. And what I did with the crayon is I used the Gamsol trick with the blending stump and blend it. And I love it. It was so fast, so fun. And I love the blend it got. And now I'm like crayon freak. I love the crayons. I'm going crayon crazy. And at this paper, the crayons work great. Plus, they're you're not going to get a really deep, intense color with them, but that's why it's supplemented with alcohol markers. But I might try to do a page just in all crayons. But I love it for what it is, for doing lighter treatments for doing really good blends because they blend very well. So I'm going to be using more crayons. I'm going to try them out in various, I mean, I used the crayons in 2 different pages this month. I used them in a page or 2 last month. So this book is just so much fun. I think that it would be a lot of fun to experiment with crayons in this book, but in other books as well. So that's my happy, cheerful Christmas gnome. You know, there are several pages in here, and I went through it in my Winter Pages and Unusual Places video. There are several pages in this book that could be used for Christmas, definitely many for winter. But this was one that I thought was particularly Christmas because of the lights. Yeah, so there's my gnome. We have one more, and I saved the grand finale for last, per usual. Many of you might remember that I'm working my way front to back through Alien Worlds because I just find this to be a very precious book by Kirby. It's his last one for a while, and he took so much time on this and made it like a story. So I'm starting with it, and I haven't even flipped through it or watched many flip throughs, so I don't know what these future pages even look like. So I'm going through it like a story. Now I take this one to work with me as well and work on it, so it is battered. It gets battered in my bag. And I hate that. And it got crunched in my bag, and the whole front cover got crunched. And I'm just like sad every time I look at it because I wanted it to keep it perfect. But in my life, my books don't stay perfect. So I just need to accept it. Plus, as a Buddhist nun, this is a lesson in impermanence and that nothing stays perfect, right? So many of you have seen this. I started with this page. I went to this page. This was in a previous... I have to really zoom out, don't I? In a previous completed pages. Again, everything in here is done with Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. I've been asked to do a video showing how to use those, and I will. Just quick tip, don't think of them as pencils because they're not. They're poorly named. They're pigment in stick form. So get them wet and brush them on. So everything in here. I use Tim Holtz watercolor pencils pretty much exclusively in all the Kirby books. I found it to be the best medium. Same here, still watercolor, Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. Then I got tired of doing content pages and wanted to get to the meat of the book. So this was the first one. Now this also has a lot of acrylic paint pen on this one because this was intense. But here we're traveling to the luscious planet, the green planet. And this is what I did. So we landed on the planet. Woohoo. Okay, let's look at this one. So this is all Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, but I also found an odd bit of I have like a 12-pack of Prisma watercolor pencils. So I thought I'd try those. They're very pigmented. They're very poorly made. Wow. A few people in the comments when I was using them said the same thing. Once you start sharpening them, they crack. Lengthwise down, the wood pencils crack. They're terrible quality, but the pigment's good, so I still use them a bit. But I found them needing to sharpen them so much and having them sort of basically fall apart. I kind of switched back to my Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. They're much better. And I just painted on. Now there is some shiny stuff back there in the water a little bit. I think that again was my Wink Stella, and I think that's when it ran out. This page, and you might see a difference. This page, I went back and took my polychromos and darkened some of the shadows, and I like it. There's our solar animal. That's what I'm working on for this month. I'm doing the solar animal page. And then I didn't on this side. So the shadows aren't as deep and rich on this side, but I tell you, I was tired of the plant life and the rocks, so I didn't go back over it. So we have landed on the luscious planet. Now I am using a minimal palette here. I'm using the same 6 or 7 colors throughout the entire thing. Yeah, I love Kirby. I love his stuff so much. And this just seems like a real swan song. Like he's like, if I never do another one, this book is the pinnacle of my color book career. It's so detailed. And I mean, so much attention is paid. There's him. I did do some light sourcing on him. Like he's got this, because that bright yellow sky, I made it kind of glow off of him a bit, her a bit, because it's me. And that's in its entirety. So these double page spreads are hard to see, but again, doing them with the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils are just so easy. So I know a lot of you struggle. Some of you have bought them and then been very disappointed. It's a lot, I think, in how you use them. If you're using them, and I'll go real quickly, if you're using them like a pencil, like rubbing them on and adding water to it, it'll ruin your page. They require too much water. It just doesn't work that way for coloring books. If you're rubbing them off to the side on a palette and then dipping them in water and then adding water and painting them on, that'll work. You'll get a lighter color. They'll be a little bit lighter. If you want this really intense color, you need to dip the pencil itself, the crayon. It looks like a crayon actually, but it's just a stick of pigment. Dip it in water so it's nice and soft. Take your paintbrush, take it off the tip, and paint it on. And actually, I have the lid is clear plastic, so I put the tip down on the lid and then I take it off this way. So some of the paint goes onto the lid. So I take it off like this and I paint. And that paint on the lid, I can mix with other colors and I can make every color I want. And then I just leave them resting on the lid. So every single crayon gets wet and it's very messy, but you've got it on your plastic lid and then it just washes off with water. So I use those lids as my palette and I mix colors on the lid and that's how I get all these different colors. With I only had like 24 or, well, I only had 2 sets. How many are in each set? 10? And I just got a 3rd set. But yeah, I can get as deep, rich colors as I want by how much water is added. If I take it straight off the tip with not a lot of water, it's very thick and dark, and I can get these dark, beautiful colors. So this is one, other than the deepening of the dark shadows, like the black with polychromos. I didn't use all the colors are shaded just with the watercolor pencils, but some of this down here in the Plant Life, I also used a black polychromos, but I couldn't be bothered on this side. So this is all just those watercolor pencils. And yeah, it's a watercolor look because they're watercolor. But this is done in those pencils. Super easy, pretty fast, except nothing's fast with detail like this. So this took a long time. But not as long as it would have if I had done it in pencil. So this was probably total 4 or 5 days. Yeah, of me working on it, long hours. But, oh, did I forget a Plant Life? I did. Wow. Let me smell this. No, I don't think I've fixed this yet. So I'll go back in and do that and then fix it. Yeah, so if you're ever worried about those Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, this is the kind of stuff they can do. So I will do a video, especially if you guys would like it, showing you. I might do it on the next page because I am in progress working on Peak the Solar Creature. But that's for January. All right. Thank you everyone for being here today, for sticking through this entire video and seeing all my colored pages for December 2023. I cherish each and every one of you. You guys make my days, make my evenings. I love doing these videos. I love seeing what you color, so I love your videos. I watch you all the time. I watch every single one of your videos, and whenever someone likes or subscribes that I find is new to me, I go right to their channel and subscribe immediately. I will respond to every single one of your comments. It might take me a bit because sometimes after I do one of these, I don't get back on the computer for a little bit, but I do respond to every comment. So please leave a comment if you'd like, and take very good care of yourselves.